Hey guys, so today I was actually going to do a video about making a resin clock, this one here, but as you can see things went pretty wrong. So instead this is going to be more of a vlog, and I'm just going to have a chat to you, really let you know a little bit about myself. And I've got a Temu order that came in, so we can unbox that. I've got another piece of artwork which I was working on before, which I'm just finishing up, so I can have a chat about that. So as someone who works full-time, I've got a family, then I actually have a limited amount of time for artwork, and I normally try to get that done in the weekend, and then I can edit at night time during the week to upload my kind of one video per week that I get a chance to do. And then unfortunately when things go wrong, like so, it sort of throws everything up in the air, as it were. So today's video is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be just about, it's just a vlog, me rambling away here in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I really love creating resin artwork. Unfortunately you get times when things go wrong, and this is one of those instances. I had this week, I was going to create this resin clock, and routing out the back of the clock here to make room for the timepiece. Unfortunately I went too deep and it just broke the resin, and yeah, it kind of sucks now. Anyway, and you only learn from your mistakes, so this is where I'm making lots of learning from my mistakes. I try to be open and honest with you, and if I make a mistake I'm going to be recording that and putting it up. So that's one of these days. I don't have the content where I can just show you this amazingly finished resin clock. Instead it's going to be a broken clock, and the reason that broke, we can touch on that now, is that the timepiece, by the time I put the resin on, was too thick to fit all the way through. And so I had the great idea, oh that's fine, I'll just get my router out. I'll router the plywood on the back, that will leave the resin piece there, and I'll be able to put the clock through and it'll all fit. Unfortunately what happened was that maybe I miscalculated. I worked out about 3 mil on my router to go down deep. The plywood should have been 4 mil, but maybe it wasn't. So that's what happens when you buy some cheap supplies sometimes, and it's just sort of cut through all the plywood, leaving just the resin, and then the resin broke. So yep, sucks to be me, but that's just a learning opportunity. I won't be doing that again. The other thing I wanted to touch on is I had an order come in from Temu, so why don't we go and have a look at that and see what I got in the post. So one of the things with this fantastic resin hobby that I have is that unfortunately sometimes a lot of the materials can be expensive, and so I reach out to and use Temu or AliExpress to get some of the cheaper materials for me to do this hobby. Otherwise I just can't afford it. Resin wise, I've found a local supplier of resin who makes it here in New Zealand, and that seems to be the best cost versus quality that I can find. I've tried resin and bringing it in from overseas, and although the resin is great quality, you end up paying twice the price of something which can be manufactured here locally. So anyway, let's have a look at this Temu order. Let's open it up here. So I ordered a few things. Some of them are resin related, some are not. What have we got first up? A bit like Christmas, so I'm hoping this is an interesting video, but obviously didn't have the artwork to show you, so here's a bit of a day in the life. Right, so this here is a turntable. So this turntable will allow me, if I want to, do a resin pour. I can put an artwork on here, and I can put a spin it. That might give a interesting effect to some of my artwork. So it was pretty cheap. It was only a few dollars, and anyway, it could be an effective tool to have to create something unique with resin. Well, next thing we've got is a resin mold. So what I'm hoping to do here is to create some little we've got a seahorse and we've got starfish, etc. I wanted to make some keychains, so I got that resin mold somewhere in this bag. Should also be yep, that's another thing I got with it, which was a kit, jewelry kind of kit. So I've got your little screwdriver here, which I can drill into the resin, and then all the little clips which will allow me to create keychains out of those resin molds, and of course the screw bits, which will go to the screwdriver, and I can create some pretty cool little resin keychains. If you watched my video the other day, I made a frame up, and with that frame it had some corners that I created, and this little jig that I've bought here is to help hold those corners together. So you kind of put a wood piece there and a wood piece there, and that will help keep it together. I've got two different types of sort of this. The other one is this here, which is a belt clamp, and that does the same thing. So you've got the four corners. So if you're making a frame of any sort, then obviously a square frame, then this will allow you to make that frame. And the good thing with that is that it can do, because of the belt length, your frame can be a huge size or a small size. It all fits into there. So looking forward to using that and seeing what comes of that. I've also got, this is in there. Got another kit for doing your keychain. So little screw bits here. Let's bring that close to the camera, and the rings which go around. So these rings, obviously, you can put them into your screw them in, and then hook it up to your keychain, to the rest of your car keys. So, alright, that's pretty cool. And there was some loops in there as well, some metal loops. Just join that all together. Alright, I've got this one here, was in the package as well. And this is for my heat gun. So, one of the things you can use your heat gun for is obviously creating waves with resin, and my heat gun had quite a large nozzle, so I'm hoping to use this to just reduce the size of the nozzle there, and that should help with focusing to create some waves. So that might be my next art piece that I do, the next resin art piece. Hopefully I don't stuff that one up as well. But I've got a round pine board which I'm looking to create some resin waves on, so I'll give that a go. And lastly, we've got this here, and what this is in this resin order, in this Temu order. And you probably can't really see those, but they are little hooks, so that will go on the back of my current artwork, and that will allow you to hang them up. So that's my Temu order. So don't know if that was interest to you, but it's always cool opening these things from Temu and seeing what you get. Cool. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about today in this kind of vlog style video was just looking at one of the artworks which I did, and that was the my original look at the waves that I created. So this was my first attempt, and I made some mistakes on this one as well, and then applied what I learnt from this into my next video, which was the one where I made the frame. And one of the things I sort of found was that if I painted the back of this white, then it would show those sort of waves and that light pattern through a lot better. And so that's what I did. I've painted it white. It does, however, show you those imperfections where I had some of those heavier objects sitting on top of the plastic. But if you hadn't seen that video, go and take a look at that. It's the one which has got I made mistakes. But then I'm really proud of the follow-up video I did from that, where I created what I think are pretty much perfect waves in the sort of seascape that I created with the sand and the shells and that real three-dimensional look that you get by having the depth there. Anyway, so this is the last one. I've got another coat to go on the back here of the white, and then that should just make it a little bit thicker. And so when that gets hung up on a wall, it should mean that it has some nice reflections. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, the next project that I'm working on, I've got this big panel. And so with this big panel, I'm hoping to be able to, see that, it's quite big, create some resin waves. So I sort of thought like kind of around this sort of area here, you know, half of it covered in waves. I've got some resin all ready for that. It's just a matter of time because you're going to have to do about 3 different layers on that, and you know, do a couple of blues, mix them in, let that dry, do a clear and some white for the waves, and then let that clear and probably another couple of layers of those waves. So we'll have to wait and see how that all comes out. Anyway, this is quite a big piece. It's 60 centimeters diameter, so nice big piece. It did cost me about 26 New Zealand dollars for this piece of pine, and I'm hoping that is a good investment. And it's one of the hardest things really is that, you know, it wasn't too expensive for this piece. It was $9.99 for the clock and just the plywood piece, but I probably spent another, you know, $20 or $15 on resin, and now it's kind of wasted because I made a mistake. And those are the hardest things to swallow, is that you know, it costs a lot of money for resin. Some of the, you know, the colors that go in aren't too bad, but the resin is the thing that costs quite a bit, and when you make a mistake, feels like a big waste. I am waiting on some pay to come in so I can buy my next lot of resin, and that's always just the challenge as well with work. You know, you work full time, but you have a family and expenses and cost of living. It becomes a very expensive hobby. Anyway, that's probably enough of my rambling. I hope at least one of you watches this today. I know my viewer count is pretty low, so let's hope that someone watched it and got something out of it. Thanks for watching, and until next time, hopefully I'll bring you something a little bit more creative and interesting, and we'll see you then.